Note. Varies by jurisdiction. Note. Varies by jurisdiction. A vehicle ramming attack is an assault in which a perpetrator deliberately rams a vehicle into a building, crowd of people, or another vehicle. According to Stratfor Global Intelligence analysts, this attack represented a new militant tactic which is less lethal but could prove more difficult to prevent than suicide bombings. Deliberate vehicle ramming into a crowd of people is a tactic used by terrorists, becoming a major terrorist tactic in the 2010s because it requires little skill to perpetrate and has the potential to cause significant casualties. Deliberate vehicle ramming has also been carried out in the course of other types of crimes, including road rage incidents. Deliberate vehicle ramming incidents have also sometimes been ascribed to the driver's psychiatric disorder. Vehicles have also been used by attackers to breach buildings with locked gates before detonating explosives, as in the St. Quentin Falavier attack. According to the American Federal Bureau of Investigation, the tactic has gained popularity because vehicle ramming offers terrorists with limited access to explosives or weapons an opportunity to conduct a homeland attack with minimal prior training or experience. Counterterrorism researcher David Gartenstein Ross of the Foundation for the Defense of Democracy told Slate that the tactic has been on the rise in Israel because the security barrier is fairly effective, which makes it hard to get bombs into the country. In 2010, Inspire, the online English-language magazine produced by Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula, urged mujahideen to choose pedestrian-only locations and make sure to gain speed before ramming their vehicles into the crowd in order to achieve maximum carnage. Vehicle attacks can be carried out by lone wolf terrorists who are inspired by an ideology, but who are not actually working within a specific political movement or group. Writing for the Daily Beast, Jacob Siegel suggests that the perpetrator of the 2014 Kachua Rollu attack may be the kind of terrorist the West could be seeing a lot more of in the future. A kind that he describes, following Brian Jenkins of the Rand Corporation, as stray dogs, rather than lone wolves, characterizing them as misfits who are moved from seething anger to spontaneous deadly action by exposure to Islamist propaganda. A 2014 propaganda video by ISIL encouraged French sympathizers to use cars to run down civilians. According to Clint Watts of the Foreign Policy Research Institute, where he is a senior fellow and expert on terrorism, the older model where members of groups like Al-Qaeda would plan and train together before going to carry out an attack became defunct around 2005 due to increased surveillance by Western security agencies. Watts says that Anwar al-Awlaki, the American-born Al-Qaeda imam, as a key figure in this shift, addressing English speakers in their own language and urging them to do your own terrorism and stay in place. Jamie Bartlett, who heads the Violence and Extremism program at Demos, a British think tank, explains that the internet in the last few years has both increased the possibilities and the likelihood of lone wolf terrorism, supplying isolated individuals with ideological motivation and technique. For authorities in Western countries, the difficulty is that even in a case like that of the perpetrator of the 2014 Kachua Rollu attack, where Canadian police had identified the attacker, taken away his passport, and were working with his family and community to steer him away from jihad, vehicle attacks can be hard to prevent because it's very difficult to know exactly what an individual is planning to do before a crime is committed. We cannot arrest someone for thinking radical thoughts. It's not a crime in Canada. According to Stratfor, the American global intelligence firm, while not thus far as deadly as suicide bombing, this tactic could prove more difficult to prevent. No single group has claimed responsibility for the incidents. Experts see a sort of saving grace in the ignorance and incompetence of most lone wolf terrorists, who often manage to murder very few people. Vehicular ramming has sometimes been advocated as a means to deal with protesters who block public roadways in the United States. 2 police officers were suspended and fired in January and June 2016, respectively, for tweeting such advice in relation to Black Lives Matter rallies, which have sometimes been broken up by cars. North Dakota State Legislator Keith Kempenich tried and failed to pass a law granting civil immunity to drivers who accidentally hit activists, after his mother-in-law was stopped by Dakota Access Pipeline protesters. And Tennessee Senator Bill Cotron did likewise after a man hit an anti-Trump group. Similar legislation has been introduced in Florida and Texas after the white supremacist Unite the Right rally. In